My name is Lauren Hayes. I'm 39. On March 3rd at 2:17 in the afternoon, I stood in the pediatric ICU hallway at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, watching my mother walk past my dying 6-year-old daughter's room without stopping. She had her phone pressed to her ear, and I could hear her voice through the glass. "Ryan, honey, I'm just confirming the wire transfer. Yes, the full $130,000 for the down payment. Your father and I are so proud of you." My daughter Emma was 11 feet away, hooked to a dialysis machine. The transplant that could save her life cost $164,000. 3 weeks earlier, I'd sat in this same hallway and begged my parents for help. My father had looked at me with something close to pity. "Lauren, we're on a fixed income. The market's been terrible. We simply don't have that kind of liquidity." My mother had nodded, squeezing his hand. "We wish we could help, sweetheart, but we're barely making ends meet ourselves." I'd believed them. I was raising the money through a GoFundMe, working double shifts at the Chicago Area Coalition for Child Advocacy, selling everything I owned. I was $47,000 short, and now I was listening to my mother arrange a six-figure wire transfer for my brother's luxury condo in Austin while my daughter's kidneys were failing. I walked into that hallway. My legs felt like somebody else's. "Mom," she turned, still smiling from the phone call. Then her face changed. "Lauren, I didn't see you there. You just told Ryan you were wiring him $130,000. The color didn't drain from her face. That's the thing I remember most. She didn't look caught. She looked annoyed. "This is a private conversation. Emma is dying 11 feet away from you, and you're buying Ryan a condo. That's different. Ryan is making an investment. He's building his future. This is a smart financial decision." She said it like she was explaining basic math to a child. "Your situation is, well, it's medical. It's unpredictable. We can't just throw money at something with no guaranteed outcome." My hands started shaking. "She's your granddaughter. And Ryan is our son. We have to think about the whole family, Lauren. You've always been so emotional about these things. This is why you're in this position in the first place. You make decisions with your heart instead of your head." A nurse passing by slowed down, looking between us. My mother's voice dropped. "Don't make a scene. You're upset, and you're not thinking clearly. We can discuss this later." "You told me you were broke." "We are broke in terms of liquid assets. Everything is tied up. You wouldn't understand the complexities of financial planning. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to finish this call with your brother." She turned her back on me and walked toward the elevator, phone already back to her ear. "Ryan, sorry about that. Where were we?" I stood there for 4 minutes and 12 seconds. I know because I was staring at the clock above the nurse's station, watching the red second hand tick. A different nurse touched my shoulder. "Honey, are you okay?" I couldn't answer. Something had cracked open inside me, and it wasn't just my heart. Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time is it there. Let me take you back 6 years to the day Emma was born. I was 33, single, and terrified. I'd gotten pregnant from a relationship that ended badly, and I was doing it alone. My parents had made their feelings clear. "This is irresponsible, Lauren. You're barely supporting yourself on a caseworker's salary. How are you going to raise a child?" But the moment Emma came into the world, none of that mattered. She had this tiny, perfect face and these enormous gray eyes, and when the nurse placed her on my chest, she stopped crying immediately, like she knew she was home. I took a photo of her that first day. She was wrapped in a hospital blanket with little yellow ducks on it, and there was this expression on her face, peaceful and wise. I kept that photo in my wallet. Every time I opened it to scrape together money for groceries or count out exact change for the bus, I'd see her face and remember why I was doing this. My parents visited once when Emma was 3 days old. They stayed for 11 minutes. My mother held her for maybe 90 seconds before handing her back. She's lovely, Lauren. Just make sure you're thinking practically about childcare costs. That was it. No offer to help, no enthusiasm, just a reminder that I'd made a mistake. Ryan came by that same week with his girlfriend. He was 35 then, working in tech, already making good money. He brought an expensive stroller I hadn't registered for. Thought you could use this, he said, like he was being generous. Then he'd looked around my studio apartment, and I'd seen it in his eyes. Pity mixed with superiority. He'd made better choices. He was doing it right. I was the family embarrassment. Emma got sick when she was 4. Kidney disease, genetic, nothing I could have prevented. The doctor said she'd need a transplant eventually. I worked harder. I took evening shifts doing intake assessments for homeless families, helping single moms find emergency housing. My salary went from $41,000 to $61,000 when I switched to the advocacy specialist position, but medical bills ate everything. I called my parents exactly 4 times asking for help with Emma's medical expenses. Small amounts: $800 for a specialist visit, $1,200 for medications. Every time the answer was the same. We're on a fixed income, Lauren. We can't keep bailing you out. My mother would add, maybe if you'd made better life choices, you wouldn't be in this position. Ryan never offered anything either, but I'd see his social media, vacations to Cabo, photos of his new Audi, renovation updates on his townhouse. I told myself it was his money. He'd earned it. I had no right to be resentful. Then Emma's kidneys failed completely in January. The transplant evaluation came back in February. Total cost, $164,000, and that was just for the surgery and immediate post-op care. Insurance would cover some future costs, but I needed the deposit up front. The hospital wouldn't schedule the surgery without it. I launched the GoFundMe on February 12th. I shared it everywhere: Facebook, my coworkers, old college friends, the families I'd helped through the advocacy center. People donated. My boss donated $500. Families who could barely afford rent sent $20, $50. A woman whose daughter I'd helped get into transitional housing sent $100 with a note that made me cry. The community showed up, but I needed $164,000. By March 1st, I had $117,000. I was running out of time. That's when I sat my parents down at their condo in Scottsdale. They'd retired there 2 years earlier. Nice place, golf course view, 2 bedrooms. I remember my father had been watching a financial news channel when I arrived, something about portfolio diversification. I need your help, I'd said. Emma needs this transplant. I'm $47,000 short. I know it's a lot, but she's dying. I'll pay you back. I'll take out a loan. My father had muted the TV. Lauren, we've talked about this. We're on a fixed income, Social Security, and our retirement accounts. The market's been volatile. We lost value in our portfolio last quarter. We simply don't have that kind of liquid cash available. What about your savings? Or a home equity line? This is Emma's life. My mother had reached across the coffee table and patted my hand. It felt condescending. Sweetheart, we wish we could help, but we have to be smart about our financial security. We can't risk our retirement. What if we need long-term care? What if there's an emergency? This is an emergency. Your granddaughter is dying. We understand you're upset. My father's voice had been so calm, so reasonable. But medical situations are unpredictable. Even with the transplant, there's no guarantee of success. We can't make an investment with that level of risk. Investment. That's the word he'd used, like Emma was a stock portfolio. I'd left that condo and driven straight back to Chicago. 8 hours in my 2009 Honda Civic with the check engine light on, crying so hard I had to pull over twice. I'd called everyone I could think of. I'd sold my grandmother's jewelry, my laptop, my winter coat. By March 3rd, I had $164,000 exactly. The deposit was made. Emma's surgery was scheduled for March 18th. And then I'd heard my mother in that hospital hallway wiring $130,000 to Ryan for a condo. The surgery happened. Emma survived it. For 8 days, she was stable. I thought we'd made it. Then her body rejected the kidney. Complications set in fast. Infection, organ failure. She died on March 26th at 6:41 in the morning. I was holding her hand. My parents didn't come to the hospital. They sent flowers to the funeral. Ryan came to the funeral. He stood in the back, left before the reception. He didn't speak to me. My mother hugged me and said, "She's in a better place now. You have to trust God's plan." My father wrote me a check for $1,000. For expenses, he'd said. I quit my job 2 days later. I couldn't walk into that office and help other families when I'd failed my own daughter. I couldn't look at the single mothers I was supposed to be helping and not see myself in them. Alone, desperate, failed by the people who should have protected us. I spent 3 weeks in my apartment staring at walls. The landlord knocked on the 4th week. Rent's due, $1,400. I had $287 in my bank account. I packed what I could fit in my car and moved into a weekly motel on Cicero Avenue. $225 a week, shared bathroom down the hall. I got a job at a grocery store stocking shelves at night. $13.50 an hour. I worked 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., slept during the day, avoided everyone I knew. My coworkers from the advocacy center called. I didn't answer. My parents called twice. I didn't answer them either. On April 30th, my mother left a voicemail. "Lauren, we heard you quit your job. That's very irresponsible. You need to think about your future. You can't just give up because things got hard. Call us back. We're worried about you." I deleted it. Then I listened to it again from the deleted folder. Then I listened to it 7 more times, trying to find a single word of grief about Emma. There wasn't one. May 15th, I was stocking cereal on aisle 6 at 3:30 in the morning when my phone buzzed. Email from Ryan. Subject line, family update. "Hey Lauren, wanted to let you know I closed on the condo today. Austin is amazing. You should visit sometime. Hope you're doing okay." He'd attached a photo. Him and his girlfriend on a balcony, champagne glasses, huge windows overlooking the city. I zoomed in on the photo. There was a piece of mail visible on the counter behind them. I could just barely read it. Robert and Margaret Hayes, wire transfer confirmation, $130,000. I screenshot it. I don't know why. Some instinct. I went back to work stocking cereal, but something had shifted. That hardness that cracked open in the hospital hallway started to solidify into something else. Something focused. The next day, I walked into the Chicago Area Coalition for Child Advocacy. My former boss, Sandra Chen, looked up from her desk. She stood immediately. "Lauren." "Oh my God, Lauren." She came around the desk and hugged me. I stood there stiff, not hugging back. "I need my job back," I said. Of course. Of course. Are you sure you're ready?" "I need to work." She put me back on the schedule. I started the following Monday. Case reviews, helping families navigate housing applications, emergency assistance programs. I was good at it. I'd always been good at it. And now I had a new motivation. Every family I helped was proof that I hadn't completely failed. But something else was happening too. In my off hours, I was searching public records, property databases, financial disclosure documents. I taught myself how to access county records, how to request documents under Freedom of Information Act. I started building a timeline. I found my parents' property records in Maricopa County. Their condo had been purchased in 2022 for $485,000, paid in cash, not a mortgage, cash. I found Ryan's property records in Travis County, Texas. Purchase price, $430,000. Down payment, $130,000. Wire transfer from Robert and Margaret Hayes on March 3rd. I requested my parents' tax returns through a Freedom of Information request, claiming I needed them for estate planning purposes. It took 6 weeks. When they arrived, I sat in my motel room and read every page. Joint income, $12,400 per month. Social Security, plus pension plus investment income. Annual income, $148,800. Fixed income, barely making ends meet. I found the brokerage statements attached to the tax returns. Investment accounts totaling $1,247,000 as of December 31st last year. I sat on the floor of my motel room for 20 minutes, staring at that number. $1,247,000. And they'd told me they didn't have $47,000 to save their granddaughter's life. I kept digging. I found credit card statements Ryan had left attached to an email he'd forwarded to the family group chat months ago. He'd been asking our parents for their opinion on patio furniture. In the metadata, I found transaction records, a $3,400 charge to a resort in Turks and Caicos. Booking date, March 8th. My parents had taken a vacation 5 days after telling me they were broke. While Emma was in the ICU, I created a spreadsheet. Dates, amounts, documents. Every lie, time-stamped and cross-referenced. I worked on it every night after my shifts, filling in gaps, requesting more records, building the case like I'd built cases for the families I helped. On June 22nd, my mother called. I answered for the first time in months. "Lauren, finally, we've been trying to reach you." "I've been busy." "Well, we wanted to invite you to Sunday dinner. We're having Ryan and Jennifer over. We thought it would be nice to have the whole family together." "When?" "This Sunday, June 26th, 5 p.m. Nothing fancy, just family." I thought about saying no. Then I thought about my spreadsheet, sitting on my laptop complete. "I'll be there." "Wonderful. And Lauren, please dress appropriately. I know you've been going through a hard time, but let's try to keep things pleasant." I hung up. I requested time off work. I printed every document I had. Bank statements, property records, tax returns, wire transfer confirmations, credit card receipts, screenshots of social media posts time-stamped against their claims of poverty. I organized everything chronologically in a 3-ring binder. 63 pages, tabbed and indexed. On June 25th, I drove from Chicago to Scottsdale. 8 hours. I checked into a Motel 6 and rehearsed what I was going to say. Then I decided I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to let the documents speak. Sunday, June 26th, 4:53 p.m. I parked outside my parents' condo. My hands were steady. I picked up the binder from the passenger seat and walked to the door. My mother answered. She looked me up and down. I was wearing the one dress I owned, black from Target. "Oh, Lauren, you made it. Come in." The condo smelled like pot roast. My father was in the living room with Ryan and Jennifer. 2 other couples I recognized as my parents' neighbors were there too. 6 people total, just like my mother had said. Small talk and confrontation. "Lauren!" My father stood, arms out like we were close. "Good to see you, sweetheart." Ryan nodded from the couch. "Hey, sis." I sat in the armchair by the window. I placed the binder on my lap. My mother was pouring wine. "Lauren, would you like a glass?" "No, thank you." Dinner was set up buffet style on the dining table. Everyone filled plates, talking about golf scores and homeowners association drama. I didn't get food. I sat in the armchair, holding my binder, waiting. Finally, my mother sat down on the love seat next to my father. She had that satisfied hostess smile. "So, Lauren, how have you been? Are you working?" "Yes, I got my job back at the advocacy center." "That's good. I'm glad you came to your senses. Quitting was very impulsive." "I quit because my daughter died." The room got quiet. One of the neighbors cleared her throat. My mother's smile tightened. "We all grieve in different ways, Lauren, but life goes on. You have to think about your future." Speaking of the future, my father said, Ryan has some exciting news. Tell her about the promotion, son. Ryan grinned. Senior VP of Development, $220,000 base plus equity. That's wonderful, I said. My voice was calm, flat. Congratulations. My mother beamed. We're so proud. Ryan's always been so driven, so responsible with his finances. Unlike me, my mother's smile flickered. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. You've been saying it my whole life. I make emotional decisions. I'm irresponsible. I should have planned better. Lauren, this isn't the time. When Emma was dying, I asked you for help. You told me you were broke. You said you were on a fixed income. You said you didn't have liquidity. My father set down his wine glass. We explained our financial situation. We have obligations, retirement planning. You wired Ryan $130,000 for a condo 3 weeks after telling me you couldn't help save Emma's life. The room went completely silent. Ryan's face went red. Jennifer was staring at her plate. The neighbors were looking at each other. My mother's voice was ice. That is private family business. Is it? I opened the binder. Because I have the wire transfer confirmation right here. March 3rd, 2:30 p.m., $130,000 from your joint account to Ryan's escrow account. I also have your tax returns showing annual income of $148,800 in investment accounts, totaling $1,247,000. My father stood up. How did you get those documents? Public records, FOIA requests, freedom of information, all legal. I turned the page. Here's your vacation to Turks and Caicos. Booked March 8th. $3,400 charged to your Amex. Emma was still in the ICU. You told me you couldn't afford to help, then you went on a Caribbean vacation 5 days later. My mother's face was white. You had no right to dig into our finances. I had every right to know if you were lying to me while my daughter was dying. Ryan stood. Mom, Dad, I didn't know she asked you for money. I swear I didn't. Sit down, Ryan. My voice was sharper than I'd ever heard it. He sat. I turned another page. Here's your property purchase record. $485,000 paid in cash 2022. No mortgage, but you told me you didn't have liquidity. Another page. Here's Ryan's condo. $130,000 down payment, same day you walked past Emma's hospital room, telling him how proud you were. One of the neighbors stood. I think we should go. No, stay. My mother's voice was shaking. She's twisting this. We made a smart financial decision. We chose to invest in Ryan's future instead of throwing money at a medical situation with no guaranteed outcome. That's called being responsible. I looked at her, really looked at her. You called your granddaughter's life a medical situation with no guaranteed outcome, an investment you couldn't make. You're being hysterical. I'm being factual. Everything in this binder is fact. Dates, amounts, documents. You had the money. You chose not to help. You lied to me about being broke, and you let my daughter die. My father's voice was low and dangerous. Emma died because of kidney failure, not because of us. Emma died because you chose Ryan over her. You've always chosen Ryan over me, but I thought... My voice cracked. I took a breath. I thought even you wouldn't let a 6-year-old die to protect your retirement portfolio. My mother stood, shaking. Get out. Get out of my house. I'm not done. I turned to the last page. Here's the GoFundMe. 847 people donated. People who didn't know Emma, who barely knew me, people who could barely afford to help. They donated because they believed in saving a child's life. And my own parents, with over $1 million in the bank, donated $0. I closed the binder. I stood. I'm not here for an apology. I'm not here to make you feel guilty. I'm here because you need to know that I know. You can tell yourselves whatever story you want about smart financial decisions and fixed incomes and irresponsible daughters, but I have 63 pages of proof that you're liars. The neighbor who'd stood earlier was crying. The other neighbor was staring at my parents like she'd never seen them before. Ryan's voice was quiet. I didn't know, Lauren. I swear. I didn't know she'd asked you. You never asked. You saw the GoFundMe. Everyone saw it. You donated nothing. You took their money and bought a condo and posted champagne photos while Emma was dying. Jennifer stood, grabbing her purse. We should go. Ryan didn't move. He was staring at our parents. Is this true? You told her you were broke? My father's voice was tight. This is none of your concern. You let my niece die so I could have a down payment? We made a choice about resource allocation. Her name was Emma! Ryan's voice cracked. She was 6 years old and you let her die for a condo? My mother was crying now, mascara running. You don't understand. We had to think long term. We had to protect our assets. Lauren has always been so careless with money, we couldn't just. She needed $47,000 to save her daughter's life, and you spent $130,000 on me instead. Ryan was standing, his face white. Oh my God. Oh my God. I picked up the binder. I'm leaving this with you. Read it. Don't read it. I don't care. But don't ever call me again. Don't tell me about responsibility or good decisions or family obligation. You chose. You chose money over Emma. You chose Ryan over me. You've been choosing for 39 years, but now I'm choosing too. I walked to the door. The room was silent except for my mother's crying. My father's voice stopped me. If you walk out that door, you're not welcome back. I turned. Good. I left. I drove back to the Motel 6, sat on the bed and stared at the wall for an hour. Then I called Sandra Chen. Sandra, it's Lauren. I need to come back to work tomorrow, full-time. I'm ready. Of course. Are you okay? I will be. The next 6 months were strange. Quiet. I worked. I helped families. I moved out of the motel into a small one-bedroom apartment on Ashland Avenue. $950 a month, my own bathroom, a window that faced a tree. Ryan called in August. I didn't answer. He called again in September. I answered. Lauren, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. I swear to God I didn't know. Okay. I told them I can't have a relationship with them anymore. What they did is unforgivable. That's your choice, Ryan. I want to make it right. I want to help. I sold the condo. I'm sending you a check for. I don't want your money. Lauren, I don't want anything from any of you. I'm rebuilding my life. I'm doing it on my own. That's what I should have done from the beginning. Can I at least see you? Can we talk? Maybe someday. Not now. I hung up. He didn't call again. My parents sent a letter in October. I didn't open it. I put it in a box in my closet with Emma's hospital bracelet and the photo of her in the yellow duck blanket. November 14th, I was at my desk reviewing a case file when Sandra knocked. Lauren, there's someone here to see you. Says she knows you from Emma's GoFundMe page. A woman in her 60s stood in the lobby. She had kind eyes. Ms. Hayes, my name is Patricia Morrison. I donated to your daughter's fund. I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. I saw your name in the paper recently. You helped my niece's family get emergency housing. She told me you were the one who saved them. I wanted to thank you. We talked for 20 minutes. She'd donated $100 to Emma's fund, money she'd saved from her pension. She didn't know me. She didn't know Emma. She just wanted to help save a child's life. Before she left, she hugged me. Your daughter would be proud of the work you're doing. I cried in Sandra's office for 10 minutes after that. Then I went back to work. A year later, I'm still at the Advocacy Center. I got promoted to senior specialist, $71,000 a year. I have health insurance. I have a savings account with $4,200 in it. I have a framed photo of Emma on my desk, the one with the yellow duck blanket. I don't talk to my parents. I don't talk to Ryan. I saw online that he moved back to Illinois, broke up with Jennifer, started therapy. That's his journey. Mine is different. Every day I help families who are where I was, desperate, alone, fighting systems designed to make them fail. I find them housing, I connect them with medical assistance, I advocate for their kids. Last week, I helped a single mom get emergency funding for her son's surgery. The organization I connected her with covered the full cost. She cried in my office. I told her, "Your son deserves this. You deserve this. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." I still have the binder. It's in my closet next to the box I never opened. I don't need it anymore. The truth is already out. The people who needed to see it saw it. On Emma's birthday this year, March 15th, I went to her grave. I brought yellow ducks, a whole bouquet of them, plastic lawn ornaments arranged like flowers. I sat there for an hour, talking to her, telling her about the families I'd helped, the kids who were safe now because I'd learned how to fight. "I'm doing it for you," I said. "Every kid I help is for you." The truth is, I'll never know if the $47,000 would have made a difference. Maybe Emma would have survived with the transplant if I'd gotten the money sooner. Maybe she wouldn't have. Medical situations are unpredictable. My father was right about that, at least. But what I do know is this: my parents chose. They chose money over love. They chose comfort over courage. They chose to live with themselves after letting their granddaughter die, and they have to carry that for the rest of their lives. I chose too. I chose to walk away. I chose to rebuild. I chose to take the worst thing that ever happened to me and turn it into something that helps other people. That's the difference between us. If you're watching this and you've ever had to walk away from family to save yourself, type "I walked away" in the comments. Or if you chose to stay and fight for your boundaries within your family, type "I stayed and fought." Both are brave. Both are valid. Both take courage. Most people will never understand. If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. Thank you for being here.